Really hoping it's a trout. If it's a trout, it's a really good one. This was within about 2 minutes of me casting in. Beautiful fish.
I'd really felt that this winter had been particularly cold. It had been dark and it had been bleak, and of course there'd been a lot of rain. So most of the time I haven't really been inspired to get out and fish. But when I saw the forecast for sunshine, I thought I'm going to hit those lakes and target those trout. My plan was to fish Pikes Creek, but it can be really daunting at times. It's a massive water, and so working out where the fish are going to be is quite a challenge. Reservoirs like this can be a real mystery at times. Sometimes the fish are spread really thinly, and so you'll only pick out the odd fish every now and again. Sometimes they school up fairly hard, and if you find one of the schools, you can be really lucky on the day and bring out a few fish. But sometimes it's just patience and the right baits. To give myself a bit of an advantage, I always use burley. I mean, it's an attractant, it's a stimulant, and it's your advertising that there's food in the water.
So what I do when I'm putting my burley out is make sure that it has some other attractants in it other than the burley itself. So some of the baits that I'm using, I will just put in there, some corn, I put some worm in there, I put some maggot in there, and then I just push that into the burley cage so that the food that they want, so the bait that I'm using is in my burley cage. And that means that when they get samples of that for nothing, and then they find something on the hook, they're more likely to take what's on the hook. Okay, I'm casting this out again. This one's a bit further out. Good. Bring that back.
I had two rods with me. They were both long rods, 3.6 metre quiver tip rods with the sensitive tips so you can see the bites. And I did have to cast a fair way out, and that's why these long rods really helped me do that. And it did find the fish.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful trout. Have a look at that. It's a brown trout. Very happy about that. Look, a beautiful fish. Oh, magnificent. Have a look at that. Oh, I took that right down too. Gotta be happy about that. Got my burley cage there. All I do is press that in, press the burley in. We're right to go. And we'll get that out again. Same spot.
It's important to cast accurately when you're using burley. The burley will bring the fish in, and if you're accurate with your casting, then you can concentrate the fish in one spot. By doing that, you've created a target zone and you've got more chance of multiple fish being in the area for you to hook.
So this sucker just pulled straight into me. I just watched the rod tip go round. Now I think he's got me around a snag. Yes, he's got me around a snag, unfortunately. Still on there. Unfortunately, this will not be a trout. This is too much of a fight. If this was a trout, it'd be magnificent. But I don't care. It's just great fun fishing today.
I use fairly light line when I go trout fishing. It means I think that I do get more fish, but if I catch anything of size, then I've really got to play it properly, otherwise it'll break off.
Doesn't like the idea of being caught. Can't blame him for that.
Trout are not the only fish in this water. Obviously there are carp, and they're great fun to catch just simply because they're so big. I'd got a family watching me as I caught this fish, and the great thing was I was able to give it to them afterwards.
So that's the fish. It's fairly big. I'm surprised how long it is.
While I was playing that carp, my other rod went off. I'd hooked a smaller trout. This one here, at least it had done me the favour of deep hooking itself, so it wasn't going to get off. This was smaller than the other ones, but the great thing was I was looking to get a meal of trout, and this was going to help me with that.
Oh, I was just taking care of that trout.
My other rod went off.
It's funny how some carp fight harder than others. This wasn't a big fish, but it was fighting harder than that first one that I caught. I've noticed this before, smaller fish fighting harder than big ones. Don't know why.
Alright, this is what else I caught today.
Shortly after catching that carp, I was into something else. The rod tip went round, and then when I picked the rod up, the fish shot from left to right. Pretty exciting stuff. It was pulling off line a little bit, which meant it was a bit of a fish. I knew there was some size in it. The only thing was that I got a little bit confused as to exactly what fish it was.
Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. It's a salmon. Okay. Salmon. Beautiful. Oh. No, it's not. It's not a salmon. It looked like a salmon. It looked like it was all silvery. Have a look at that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful colours? Brown trout. Nice size too.
When I first caught this fish, I didn't quite notice how he'd been hooked, but on closer inspection, there was something really strange about this, and suddenly I discovered what it was.
He has got a hook in him. Have a look at that. There's my hook. There's a swivel. That's been broken off, but he's got a hook in him already. So he's taken my bait after being hooked anyway.
I must admit I spent a little bit too much time looking at this rig setup and the way that it had caught without paying attention to my other rod.
Ah, there's another one. Just crap. Now I've got one on this rod. Oh crap. It's all happening now. This is not a brown trout, I can tell you that. This will be a carp, but I don't care. A bit of fight is a good thing.
It took me a little while to get this fish in. It's funny at times. Some of these carp fight very, very hard and some not that much. This one wanted to put up a fight. This was the last fish of the day, and it led me on a real dance. It went round snags, over rocks, but I managed finally to get it to shore and to bank it. I'd had a blast on the day. I'd landed a few fish, and I got those trout. So not only had I had some fun, but dinner was taken care of. Trout is on the menu.